So we have a special treat today. As we've been indicating, it's our 60th anniversary of operation at the college. And the gentleman I'm introducing today has been a longtime faculty member, retired history instructor, professor at Cabrillo College. And when I first came to be president at Cabrillo, he got an appointment in my office to sit down with me and explain the history of the institution, the history of this community. And 3 hours later, I went home and had dinner. But it is a true pleasure to introduce today to the stage Sandy Lydon, the history dude. Okay. You need it? All right. Good. Do you want me to do the clicker, or does Kristen have it?
I got it.
You good?
I got it. Oh, he just asked me if he wanted me to do the clicker, and I don't know where the clicker is. But I have a laser pointer. So this is the return. We'll call this the return of the ghosts of all college days past. For those of you that don't know, this schedule that we're on, where classes start in July or some crazy thing, used to be Labor Day. The faculty and administrators too got a little bit tired of what we call the lame duck, which was the 2 weeks after winter break, where we had to come back to conclude the semester, and we didn't want to go to quarters. Quarters are death, okay? The quarter system is an abomination on the landscape. Why would you want to do it an extra time? Okay, let's do it again. Let's do 3 finals a year. Oh boy. So we looked at the calendar and we said there's only one way we can do it, is we can scooch it up a little bit, but then we got to make up something. And one of the themes that I'm going to deal with here a little bit is called the Cabrillo Way. And the Cabrillo Way was, in the old days, before 1978 and Proposition 13, we didn't have to pay any attention to Sacramento except when we wanted something, and then we'd get the legislature to write some, a new bill, and so we invented, literally here, on this campus, the flexible calendar that makes it possible to start the semester, and have it over, but then there was that extra time. Well, we were extra, Cabrillo's always good at this part. We say, well, what are we going to do with it? Well, I don't know. What do you think we should do with it? Well, let's make something up. So let's say that they're all going to come and have in-service training. They won't come. Well, we have to work on that part. But let's say that we'll be teaching too. We're going to do both at the same time. Well, I don't know. We'll think of something. You're living right now with Flex Week and the all-college day, the end result of the machinations of Floyd Younger, who was mentioned recently, and the faculty to create a calendar that made it possible. Then what happened? The unions, the skiers took over the unions, okay? And so, and that made it a little more complicated, because then they had to get their ski time in, and they didn't want to teach, and so on. But the intersession, we invented the intersession, all right? And the intersession was a marvelous thing. First year we did it, almost everybody taught a class. They didn't have to, but gee, wow, we got a whole month, let's do something. By the 4th year, there weren't many people teaching classes anymore, because the skiers had discovered that they could go skiing. So that'll give you a sense of us. They still haven't brought me my clicker. I was vamping for the clicker. Clicker. Okay. Kristen, oh, there she comes. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Now let's see if I can work it. For those, I go back to the overhead projector days,
Did you hear that? go
I
back to the
have
overhead
a
projector
Kodak
days.
Exochrome projector if anyone would like to have one. And I was supposed to have, I've got some walk-up. Where's my walk-up music? I got walk-up music. Make the walk-up music go. Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, you got it?
It's gone there.
Oh,
That's some bad luck, eh?
this is what we have to deal with when we have talent on stage, okay?
That's all right. The saying that I used to use was, live by high tech, die by high tech, and that seems to be.
We lost it. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, we can leave that up for a minute. The song that I was asked, ball players have walk-up music as they come to the plate, was Sam Cooke, 1960. What a wonderful world it would be. Do you know? And the opening line of that is, don't know much about history. That's it. That's our song. We just don't know anything. But what I wanted them to play it because what you skip when you don't hear it all the way through is that it's an equal opportunity slam on all disciplines. It goes, it's geography, French. I mean, he's working them all in. And then for those of you that are interested in
Oh my goodness.
motivation, it's a motivational song because he's describing what he might have to do in order to get the attention of the intended partner that he's singing this to. So he'll get an A if that partner will, and all those things will pay attention, which really winnows the whole thing down to glands, doesn't it pretty much? That's what it's all about. So now, if you know your local geography, which was the second thing he slammed, you might recognize the intersection of Porter Bay and Highway 1. This is Highway 1. What, a bomb go off? What happened? Where is everybody? So, oh no, I pushed the wrong button. Go back. There we go. Okay, so, told you it was overhead projectors. They didn't do this. Right there. That goes off to Porter, that goes off to Bay. This is 1954.
Here, I'm going to give you this so when you turn your head. Right?
So when I turn my head.
Yep.
God, there's more stuff. This is on. Okay. Ooh, it's a little more muffled. So in 1954, the population of the county was roughly 45,000 people total. Oh,
He was turning.
we got 45,000 people in this room. 45,000
Gave him a
people.
handhold so he could
All right?
hold it up to his.
Each of them,
Boy, yeah.
each of the families, you can figure had one car. And that's why there's no one there. All right. Now, the important thing about this is that we're running about 275,000 in the county this year, according to the Department of Finance. And I took this picture from exactly that same perspective on any given afternoon as the cars keep coming. This thing, okay, what's the point of this? Things have changed. Okay, goodbye. No, I'm not. That's the only point I want to make here. Okay, here's the setup. The setup is, I have to tell you one story because Robin McFarland, faculty senate president, of which I was one, she's talking about hiking to the top of a mountain, right? And she met the physician who said, so I'm hiking, and I didn't make this up, I'm hiking to the top of Sarah Peak, which is down in the Santa Lucias, alone, because that was when I like to think about stuff and not be bothered. And so I'm hiking up a trail, and I hear voices behind me, and I'm going, oh, God. So I pull off on the side, and I sit down, and I try to hide and let this party go by. And these two gentlemen walk up, and one guy says to me, he says, U.S. history, 1968. That was the first year that I've taught here, 1968. And I always riff a little bit. And I said, well, did it do you any good? Do you remember anything? Did you go on to be a historian? He said, no, dude, you need to know. You need to know. You wave your arms so much that when we were on acid, not making this up. We'd bring friends in to the class, and he said it was a hell of a show what we were doing. So Robin had that wonderful inspirational story about a guy who went on to be a doctor. Oh, great! So I conclude, and I still had to get to the top of the damn mountain and get back. It was just a day hike. And all along I was thinking, that's it. That's what it's been about. Meaningful occupation, right? Yeah. So I just had to tell that story because she was talking about the top of the mountain. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, this is the second smallest county in the state of California. I don't want to ask you what the smallest is, and you can shout it out if you want. Shout us. San Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco County. That's why they have a sheriff. I mean, it's an odd thing. So, Santa Cruz County is the second smallest. Third smallest? San Mateo. So the three smallest, down the peninsula in this way. So what happened was when it broke away, it was going to be, this area would have been part of Monterey County, but the Yankees, the immigrants from the eastern part of the United States, decided they didn't want to be part of a county where they would have to go over to Monterey to do their county business, and also Monterey was a Mexican town. So they literally did a petition. This is in 1850, and they did a petition and sent it around, and it went off to the legislature, and they formed a county separate from Monterey, named it differently and put the boundary in a different place. They did it all not well. Well, it was called the Legislature of 1,000 Drinks, and it was in San Jose, which sort of explains most everything. So it broke away, but it had within its little boundaries two disparate places. There was a lovely fertile valley chopped in half, stupidly, but there it was, the Pajaro Valley, and then there was Santa Cruz. Those two places evolved differently, very differently, and were at odds constantly. There were, I think, a dozen efforts by the Pajaro Valley to break away, form another county, form a county with what is now San Benito County or Monterey County. Their interests were different because it was agriculture over here and it was industrial. I know you think it's all tourism, but it started out, it's an industrial area, mills, factories. Those two then are contentious throughout their history. And I want to show you, because what I'm going to lead to is this institution, this college, is one of the rare, and really the first modern institution to bridge both parts of the county. And actually, this place is chopped up with little ravines and arroyos. There are microcultures, there are tribes living up there. People do, you want living history, just go to Lompico or and if you're from Lompico, obviously that's it's not nothing personal. Okay, here we go. All right, so the county courthouse was a contention because the county seat was in Santa Cruz. This will also show you, and the geologists in the room will say, no, brick buildings, big mistake here. And it was, and it fell down, and we'll be commemorating that later. There's one of the mills, in case you didn't believe it. This is downtown Watsonville. There you go. The laborers who came in to do the agricultural work set part of the tone for Watsonville. The very first group were the native peoples, the Ohlonies, which did most of the work and all the work for the mission systems, and also for early ag. In the 1860s, the first major group were the Chinese. These Chinese actually working in the strawberries. That's Mount Madonna in the background. And the interesting thing about this is that there was no need for that kind of labor in Santa Cruz. So it develops that Santa Cruz doesn't need Chinese labor. So when the anti-Chinese movement began to, and in case you think that anything you've been hearing lately is new, oh my God, everybody's been in the barrel. Everybody's been in the barrel at one time or another. And one of the first groups into the barrel here were the Chinese. Santa Cruz became the leading anti-Chinese community in the state of California. It was the epicenter of the anti-Chinese movement. But Watsonville needed the labor. So Watsonville and Santa Cruz disagreed about the Chinese immigration and fought continually. And there were lawsuits. They fought over the railroad. They fought all the time. I could have just said that and been done with it. Well, there's the anti-Chinese. That's the top of the ballot in 1879 for the Working Men's Party in Santa Cruz. The Japanese followed the Chinese. Once the Chinese were excluded, then the Japanese followed them, the Filipinos followed them, the Dust Bowl refugees followed them, finally the Latinos follow them. So there's a continual parade of people coming into the Pajaro Valley. Santa Cruz didn't experience much of that. So it was very easy for Santa Cruz to take positions on, these kinds of issues. Okay, so now we come to this story. 1907, the state legislature, which had more sense than apparently the one we have now, according to what Matt has been saying. And you know what's really interesting is how much attention we have to pay here. Little Cabrillo College has to pay to Sacramento. It's really, when we started this joint, we didn't even know where Sacramento was. We didn't really care. Because what we cared about were the local voters, and we'll get to that. So in 1907, the legislature passes the Junior College Act, which made it possible for communities to establish junior colleges. And most of them grew out of high schools. They became grades 13 and 14. You know what the first junior college in this region was? Wow. Our poor, benighted, very sad people right now in Gilroy. San Benito Junior College was established in 1919 in Hollister High School, of which I am a proud graduate, Hollister. Hey, Baylor. In fact, I have my belt on. You can come and look at it later. My wife always says, "Why are they staring at you like that?" Oh, I don't know. It's my belt buckle. So Hollister gets one in 1919. Salinas gets one in 1920. But that's it. And there's a little bit of an idea in Watsonville, but it finally dies. And in 1948, there's an opportunity, and this is called Camp Mcquiddy. Camp Mcquiddy is out on San Andreas Road, oceanfront, 400-acre thing that the United States Army wanted to sell to most anybody who would take it, any governmental agency, for $1. $1, that many, $1. So a man by the name of Tom Mcquiddy, we'll hear more about him in a second, Tom Mcquiddy, who was a superintendent of schools in Watsonville, put together a proposal and said, let's all get together. Let's all get together. All of the contending tribes, all these Santa Cruz, Watsonville, Boulder Creek, and we'll get together and we'll support the idea of putting a junior college on this property. And we'll get it for $1. We'll get it for nothing. And the State Department of Education said no. No, it's too isolated. There's only that one two-lane road. And it's too much infrastructure to repair. And there's things buried all over. There's bombs could explode, God knows what. But my dream has always been, the history department had faculty offices right down there above. Don't you think? Don't you think? I know. Dave Schwartz would have his offices right there on the beach because that's what he does, but never mind. Now, we move into the era we care about here. In the 1950s, there's going to be an idea floated to maybe establish a junior college district. It has to be done by an election. And there is a gentleman in the wings that I'm going to bring out now who seems like has to have been everywhere when everything was starting. His name is Hal Hyde. Hal was, I can't name them all. Let's just start with a founding trustee at Cabrillo College. He was the chairman of the bond campaign. He was in the middle of the other two campaigns. Helped start the United Way, helped start the Cultural Council, helped start, I mean, come on. It is my pleasure.
There he is.
There he is. He needs a mic. So I need to also tell you that early in his life, he got a chance, you told me the other day, he got a chance to walk all across Europe carrying a rifle. He was an infantry combat veteran, World War II, eventually achieving the rank of general, Brigadier General. Brigadier General Hal Hyde. So now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. When you were in the beginning of let's say that first campaign, when Cal Flint had the thesis and all, you've always sort of soft-pedaled the rivalry between the two towns, between Watsonville and Santa Cruz. In other words, you've always made nice about that, a little bit more than I do. Do you think it was pretty tough rivalry between the two places?
Yes.
Yes! I win! Yeah, it was pretty contentious, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
This is Sandy, the big wind that blew over the Pacheco Pass and landed in Watsonville.
Well, we heard about Pacheco Pass earlier on. So, in the early 1950s, when the first election, 1954, when the first election came to form the district, it was defeated. And it was defeated by a heavy vote against it in Watsonville. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the part that we need to tell this group of people. And the part you need to hear. In 1954, it was voted down 32% positive. That's a tough negative vote, and it was across the county. In 1954, a group of these people got together, including Hal Hyde and Carl Connolly and Sig Lean and a whole bunch of them, and put together what I call the magical campaign. They didn't piss and moan about it. They didn't argue with each other about maybe it wasn't drafted well or something was wrong. They said, we have to bind this county together or it's not going to work. 4 years they did that. And you were in the middle of that.
Yes.
So how did you do it? How did you do it? How did the group, starting in 54, going to 58, how did they get the county unified? How did that happen?
We went out and talked to them and the various people, and we knew people in Santa Cruz, Aptos, the San Lorenzo Valley, and we sold them on the part that spending $250 for each person that went from Santa Cruz County to MPC or Hartnell was not a good thing, and that this could be in the coffers of Santa Cruz County and the area here in the district, and you see it all around you as you're sitting here today in this magnificent theater and this particular campus.
So there's a little element there that if you didn't have a JC in your county, then you decided to go to a JC and you went like George did to MPC, MPC would charge back to the county a certain amount per head to pay for the education that you weren't providing. So in a way, they were already paying for the students, and there were several hundred. There was $500,000 a year going out of the county in order to subsidize the education that could have been here. Now, the big issue, of course, is going to be, well, that's all well and good, but you need a plant and you need faculty and those other things. That'll come in a minute. So, but I don't know if you really got what he said. They went out and talked to people. They went out and did it. They were at every service club. They went out and didn't miss a trick. I mean, they were working hard, and they made agreements. One agreement was that it would not be, the college would not be in either Santa Cruz or Watsonville, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then, and it would not be named either Santa Cruz JC or Watsonville JC. Okay. So, but then there were a lot of things. They went into the little nooks and crannies, and they tried to find out what people needed. Okay. And that second election, 1958, at the end of the Miracle campaign, it carried by 66% positive. 66%. 66%. And that was in November of 1958. And almost immediately, they had to elect, because they didn't have anything. They had to elect a board of trustees. You ran for the board of trustees, and you won. Yes, absolutely.
And I'm still here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can turn and see this, Hal. I'm going to just show a couple of pictures. Let's just do this. Here we go. This is the first election. This is in the Pajaronian. Junior college killed. I mean, that's a great headline. I mean, killed, all right? Then...
Oh, you got it, okay.
Landslide victory for junior college. That's the 1958. I think I also have the headline for, junior college approved 2-1, and this was in the Pajaronian. All the newspapers supported it, everybody supported it the second time around, but not the first. But now they've elected 7 members, and I think I have the board. There they are. There they are. And right in the middle, there's a young man. Right, you see right there, right dead center, right there. That's General Hal Hyde. He's sitting right there. And most of the group, most of the first trustees were involved in the campaign, right?
Yes. Most of them were part of the chambers of commerce of the various cities, and also alumni of Cal Berkeley, Stanford, Santa Clara, and other spots, other people that had college educations and felt the need for a community college here.
We have an old blue here, for those of you that are Cal Berkeley people. This is for the Aggies in the room. You know, we suffer old blues. We do. I mean, but
it's kind
Davis.
of hard up there in Davis.
So we went to Harvard Business School, among other things. So you know what I'm saying. And while all of this is happening, was a vice president at Ford's, right? At Ford's department store.
Yes.
Yeah. So he has a full-time job while he's doing all this other stuff. Carl Connolly, whose name is on the athletic stadium, it's on the right, and eventually, now they've got a real issue. The county wants a college. Okay, smart guys, you got your college, you got your trustees, let's go. Well, they hired, let's see if I can get it up here, come on. They hired Bob Swenson as the first president superintendent. Yeah, he's putting his hand up. And Dr. Swenson was hired in April. This is all 1959 now. Do the math. There's no faculty, there's no staff, there's no buildings.
There's no name either.
Okay, so from April and the doors opened with several hundred students in September of the same year. You can't even form a committee to even. You can't get the environmental impact report prepared for whatever you're going to do, right? Good Lord. And here's one of my theories, and my theory, I'll test this with you. There was a lot of GIs in this group. There were a lot of veterans. For most veterans, they'd won the war, right? Now, build a college? No problem. Bang. And you did.
We named it Cabrillo and didn't know how to pronounce it. We thought of Cabral, which was the Portuguese way of doing it, and the board finally decided on Cabrillo.
Right. And it was Wally Trabing, actually, who was a reporter at the Sentinel, a columnist, who is given credit for the name, a neutral name, not either one or the other. Okay, so we've got students going in the doors in September. We're going to have a reunion in November because the first campus, hold on, see if this all comes out right. Here's the first staff. This is the first faculty and administrators all lined up. You'll see the gender equity was not necessarily, there's some issues, but it's the 50s, come on. And Floyd, is it Floyd that's got the socks? Yeah, I'm trying to remember, there's a couple of guys here that have socks. Then they chose a condemned building. It was a condemned building that the high school needed to get rid of because of the Field Act. And there it is. And you can see the name up on the top. This is the old Watsonville High School building. They had classes in that building starting September 14th, 1959. And in, the fall before, they had nothing. Nothing. Now, the county is watching all this. All those voters, all those deals you made, all those promises that they made, saying, yeah, what are you going to do? Where are you going to put the campus? We know you're going to screw us somewhere along the line. So we're just watching you. And Watsonville doesn't trust, Santa Cruz doesn't trust, nobody trusts. So they need a bond campaign. They need a bond issue. They need money in order to do what you're sitting on, not in this building, but on this property. You, as I remember, were the chairman of the bond campaign. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to talk to somebody about bond campaigns? Okay, because here's the subtext to all of this. This is the harangue time now. Are you ready for this? And that is simply that the county has changed. And the people who remember this are very few, and who have the angel dust of Cabrillo all over them. A lot of you had the experience of walking into the bank and saying, I teach at Cabrillo. Oh, here, run around in the vault. It's okay. Oh, I love Cabrillo. My daughter, son, and then they start the litany. Are you married? They're complete. You don't need a name on your check. Just write something down. We'll give you money. Because there was this incredible euphoria. And let me describe to you how it manifests itself in this election. Remember, 32% in 1954. You got it? Hold that number. Lunch is coming right away. Your blood sugar will go back up later. Okay, you got that, all right? They went out and did this. Ooh, I got a picture. Hold on, I got a picture. Well, that's one of the first. You see, the students even wore ties. Oh my God. Okay. This one, here you go. The $6.6 million bond issue, the largest in the history of the county up to that time. I don't know if you saw the number that Matt put on the screen a little while ago. It took my breath away. This is 6.6. Well, we could probably do that and buy a garage in Santa Cruz. So 6.6 million, and that was, and the election was in May of 1960. You ready for this? 82% positive. 82% positive. They flipped, in 6 years, they flipped 32% to 82%. A 50% swing. And still always having the local population watching them really closely because they wanted to make sure they kept their deals. And one of the deals was that the campus had to be somewhere between. And as General Hyde points out, you picked the dividing line, correct?
We picked the
Borregas.
The Borregas Gulch.
But some of you just think it's a gully
line,
over there, right?
Which was the dividing line between the original Mexican grants along Highway 1.
So when you hit a tennis ball badly, and you hit it to the east, it goes down into Borregas Gulch. Borregas Gulch is right between us and the farm on the other side of the thing. And that was considered to be the dividing line, and they picked the Port of Cessnon property, which is what we were sitting on, as the location. And meanwhile, and I just have to sort of just mention to you that UCSC played a role in this. Meanwhile, Santa Cruz, starting in 1954, begins to get an idea. The regents are looking for a campus. They get San Diego, they get Irvine, and then they're talking about doing it in Almaden, but they're not sure. And at Santa Cruz mounts a campaign to see if they could get the university campus, because by policy, if you didn't have a junior college in your county, you couldn't have a university campus. I want you to tell that to every UCSA person. In fact, Stan Stevens, one of the founding administrators of UCSC, is here today to remind him that because they have a certain posture. I don't know if you've noticed. Well, irony of all ironies to me is that at a meeting one day with the founding chancellor, he asked you if you'd like to be what? Dean McHenry invites you to come to be on the administration of the new university. Yes. Yeah. And you had the title of Vice
Chancellor for Business and Finance.
7 years he was on the staff at UCSC. Meanwhile, he's a trustee at Cabrillo, and you're not doing full-time at Ford's, though, no, right?
No.
Okay, that let you off the hook a little bit. He happens to have been just about in every historic intersection in the modern history of the county. And here's the lesson. The lesson is that 82% then, over time, slides. It doesn't come as strong next time and next time. Memories fade. The college gets maybe a little complacent. Doesn't realize that what these guys did, you have to do. You have to go out and hit the bricks. And you talk to every service club there is. You need to understand now that the population has changed so dramatically since then, for God's sakes. There is no universal memory anymore. You're going to have to show your driver's license to cash a check, all right? They're not going to take your check just by the fact that you work here. And that, it seems to me, is critical. But because we need another magical campaign, like the one they had between 54 and 58. If we're going to have any success, and what I hear is it'll be probably November of 2020. Oh no, that's great too, by the way. That's a general election.
You think I'll live that long?
So let's conclude. You have a chance to meet General Hyde afterward. I think he's going to ceremonially cut the cake. But let me show you. Okay, this is the one where they passed the Cabrillo bonds, thumping okay for Cabrillo bonds. Also notice here's a little historical moment. That's the city council of Watsonville over there in the squares. Things have changed, have they not? Yeah, if you don't notice, then never mind. Okay, I'm showing them. He noticed in his comments that they weren't sure how to pronounce it. Leave it to a truck driver to show you, because the trucks that were coming to the construction at this site were confused by all LL. That's how you pronounce it. It's Cabrillo. General Hyde, sir, and I mean this for you and for all the people that you served on the boards and all the people that have gone before, God bless you.
Please sit down. I'm very embarrassed.
Do you have any advice for them for the campaign?
First, learn how to say pajaro.
Okay. Thanks so much, Hal. I'm going to wheel you off. All right? Thank you. Here you go, Mario. All right.
Hey, turn them loose.
All right. Well, that was a treat. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much. Sandy? I've got to get that in my office. That's wonderful, that photo. So listen, we've had a special day with Hal. Hal, thank you so much for all that you've done for this community and for the college. Sandy, you as well. Thanks so much for being a part of our history and sharing it with us. We have special treats for you outside, but I also want to make sure that you're ready for the rest of today's events. So in the afternoon, just starting right after this, we'll have a ceremonial cake cutting and some cupcakes available to celebrate the 60th anniversary. And I might have mentioned a taco lunch last week. It's going to be a box lunch, so it's easier for you to deal with. Sorry if you were expecting tacos. Ooh. Sky next year, tacos, all right? At 1 o'clock, we start the sessions focusing on defining excellence. So there's some breakout sessions that'll be over in the VAPA building. Let's see, 51, 37, 41, I think are in the music Sampere Hall. So please engage with that. And then some discussion of our survey results from the Sense survey last year that students said about their experiences at Cabrillo will be talked about at 2 o'clock. We have other stuff going on in the afternoon as well, and then of course Flex Week going on. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you, and have a great semester. Thank you.